oversees a combination of financial advisors and institutional equity and fixed income traders. And he began his career on Wall Street in 1998 with UBS and has served various roles within its wealth management unit since then. Ken graduated cum laude from Queens College with a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics and a concentration in finance, and he minored in business and liberal arts. He has a 2.5-year-old son, Kenneth Correa, or KJ, and both being loyal New Yorkers are Mets and Giants fans. So it's my pleasure to welcome to the podium.
By the way, you know it's graduation day. This is more to my classmates. You know it's graduation day is when graduation day is moving to the audience. And you see that large class. Elvis is here. I haven't seen these guys since orientation. A walk in Gideon or Byway. But to no surprise, Elvis is actually not here. That's a graduation. That was an inside joke. And I apologize. Glenn Hubbard, my Steve Mears, Emma Tate, Steve Guest, friends, fellow classmates. I am humbled, grateful, and honored to have the privilege to be standing before you this morning representing the 2012 Executive MBA class at Columbia University as we come to the end of our journey. Today is a bittersweet day, a moment that seems so surreal. After 20 months, we're finally here. We're finally here. This is a dream come true for many of us. I know it certainly is for me. It truly is an honor to be graduating from such a prestigious institution, comprised of a highly respected faculty and an amazing support team, like our own Executive MBA department, with the likes of Kelly Blanco, April Franz, Dan Kerr, and the rest of the team who have been right by our side for the past 20 years. Let's not forget our families, friends, and work colleagues, whose steadfast support has been demonstrated over and over by their willingness to sacrifice their own time to help us get to this moment. Pinch hitting with the kids, helping with projects at work, and giving us the encouragement necessary so that we can focus on our studies. At this time, I'd like to ask the student body to please stand and join me in giving all of them a round of applause. I must confess that I struggled with the topic to speak to you about this morning. I thought about traditional themes like embracing the ever-changing world of technology, but as many of you know, I really have not done it. Let's just say that I'm an old-fashioned kind of guy who still uses checkbooks, has never used an ATM, that's a fact. Still owns a Walkman, and prefers a calculator over Excel. Not to mention that I made it through the first year of business school with a 12-year-old laptop that was running on Windows 3.1. Windows 3.1 is a stretch I made for this story. I also thought about speaking to how we can change our world after we leave this chapel this morning. However, there are more qualified people in the audience to talk about this, like our scientist classmate, Nina Tandon, who is changing the world with her research on growing heart tissue from cells. Or Gopi Sukumasi, with his new technology venture to help our economy by advancing small businesses. Or Isabel Perez, whose family foundation, the largest private foundation in South America, is changing the lives of many impoverished families in our home country of Venezuela. And many of us have had the pleasure of seeing it. But in the end, I came to the conclusion that this morning was not about individual achievements, but instead about our collective 20-month journey and a celebration of our great accomplishment. As such, I would like to speak today about our experience at Columbia, the support that we have for one another, our friendship and the bonds that built us. So let's go down memory lane and reminisce a little bit about what the past 20 months were.
It all began January 2011, when we got together here at Residence Week to do schoolwork for the first time at the IBM Center in Palisades, New York, after having spent the prior weekend and year or so working on team-building exercises. As you may recall, it was Professor Kogan's Procter & Gamble case and Professor Duran's histograms, or as they would come to be known, geranigrams, that got us into our study groups for the first time. This was when a lot of our first bonds with classmates and friendship that would last a lifetime began. For me, it was with Andre, who would go on to become my best friend in the program and the little Romanian brother I never had, as well as Zach, Gopi, Malika, and Christine. And for you, it was with your respective groups. During the course of the week, we all had different opportunities to interact either during class, scheduled happy hours, or during breaks. Everyone was still feeling each other out, and it was a somewhat tense atmosphere. But that'll change as it seems where everything always changes. At the bar. Over shots of tequila. Enjoying America's other pastime. Beer pong. You may be asking yourself, does IBM really provide its employees beer pong tables? And the answer is a resounding no. It was our incredible statistics professor, David Duran, who hauled his beer pong table from Connecticut in 10 inches of snow on the date that he was not scheduled to teach. That night, we all let our hair down. Okay, so the hair thing is a little bit more difficult for some of us. And stayed up until the wee hours of the morning, cheering on our classmates and beer pong champions, Abigail Buckwalter and Billy Cook, as they mulled over their competition. I truly believe that this was a seminal moment in our friendship, as it demonstrated to us that we were all cut from the same cloth. The best part was getting into class the next day and seeing many of my classmates catching up on their seats. And if anyone's thinking Gideon, wrong. I'm thinking more like Patrick. However, he actually had a nightmare because he woke up in a panic. Just as Zach and Andre, as they were flagging him, ready to assist him as he fell back in his chair. As we would all come to learn, Gideon only took naps in the 3:30 to 6:30 class slots after having his late-day snacks. Speaking of snacks. So the great thing about our program is having catered breakfast, catered lunch, and midday snacks. But let's just say that some of us enjoyed that luxury more than others, myself included. Our man Corey, a.k.a. the Metabolism Man, surely can attest to this. Being the brilliant person that he is, Corey's plan of attack all along was to spread our $150,000 tuition costs over as many meals and snacks as possible. And he did a fantastic job at that. Here's the sad part. The sad part is that while Corey enjoyed the greasy breakfast and lunches, and I focused on oatmeals and salads, he kept his model-like figure, even more than AJ's, his six-pack, and I gained 15 pounds, grew a gut, and had to shop for new clothes. So while Corey's fixed tuition cost was averaged down, mine actually went up. The beauty of economics and aging. If the first President's Week wasn't our first real bonding experience, then the second week certainly was. As you may recall, Maida and Fred mapped out a great plan on how we could make this Residence Week count, given that it would be our last. The festivities started with a great game of cricket, led by our classmate Raj, the Indian Shah Khan. And culminated with our entire class partying in a local parking lot with Evan, a.k.a. the Senator, Evan's chief, serving as our jukebox. It was an unforgettable night because we had it all. Great music, great company, alcohol, and a few casualties. The most memorable involving one too many 4 logos for G2, and a fractured ankle for an overly acrobatic breakdance into a pie head. That's true. However, the best part was the next day when a terribly hungover, yet focused group of ladies, with no more than 2 hours of sleep, attended our marketing class. Sat in the front row of a lecture hall to listen to, or should I say watch the sneak hypnosis, as our young stud professor, Jonathan Levine, taught in his true religion genes and muscle-exposing and hard shirt. And let us not forget the great trips that we took as a group. For me, it was seeing new places like Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Thailand, Japan, Venezuela, and this past week, Las Vegas. Boy, was that expensive. This too gave us the opportunity to bond, to get to know one another, to rely on one another, and to trust each other. I mean, if it wasn't for some of the leadership abilities of Sarah, Isabel, Bahar, Tamara, and Janice in Beijing, who knows what we the guys would have eaten, or where Danny Walsh and I would have gone up. But this 20-month journey may seem like all fun and games. However, that's not the case. Throughout this experience, each of us made a commitment that proved to be challenging in many respects. Completing the executive MBA program required extensive travel on a regular basis for some of our students, whose homes are in Boston, Washington, D.C., or Philadelphia. It involved personal sacrifices, time away from our families, time away from our careers, long hours of studying, and rearranging schedules to complete group projects. It was a juggle. However, we all did our hard work. And we should be very grateful. One of the things that made our class special was our diversity. We had scientists, engineers, consultants, finance people, and even a medical doctor. Moreover, 29% of the class was comprised of women. 24% were international students. And as a group, we spoke 25 different languages. However, this type of diversity in the classroom takes place in the biggest melting pot in our country, New York City. This is what makes our nation the best nation on the planet. The place where everyone has an opportunity. A place where dreams can come true. And today I'm proud to say that my mother and I are 2 more people who get to live the American dream. I may get a little emotional here, so I apologize in advance. I want to thank one person in particular, who for 34 years has been my rock, my best friend, and my biggest supporter, my mom. When I was 3 years old, I lost my father to brain cancer at the age of 26. My mother decided not to remarry, although she was only 30 at the time. And for the last 31 years, she has dedicated her entire existence to being both my father and mother. She raised me on the modest salary of a seamstress after we moved to the States in 1986 with Columbia, and sacrificed a tremendous amount to assure herself that I would only focus on my studies. And now fast forward the tape 26 years later to 2012, and here we are today. And thanks to her hard work in instilling me, thanks to her hard work in raising me, and instilling her values of discipline, relentless drive, passion for everything we do, no quit, and everything in life is possible attitudes, I'm here today, realizing my dream of getting higher education from one of the best academic institutions in the world. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for sacrificing so much for me. And thank you for always being there for me. I love you more than anything in this world next to my beautiful son, Katie. In closing, as I look back at the past 2 years, I realized that we came to Columbia seeking the value of higher education. And today we're not only walking out of that, but we're also leaving with something far more special. 80 incredible friendships. Friendships that were built in the classroom, where we were all equally challenged academically and emotionally, where a group of unselfish professionals overcame these challenges as one. Where we never competed for grades, but instead competed with ourselves to make our fellow classmates better. It was about learning together and helping each other, like the time that our classmate Jim Miller, another scientist, agreed to hold a review session on a Sunday afternoon in the spring to make sure that those struggling with hypothesis testing would be ready for the statistics line. That exemplifies what this group was all about. It is this type of fellowship that has made our experience such an amazing one, and one that will be deeply missed. And to my classmates, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for making my time at Columbia so special. I feel privileged to have been a part of this family, and I hope you do as well. As such, I am challenging all of you to make sure that we never let the camaraderie that we built over the past 20 years down. We have a very special group of 80 people with great chemistry, and that is hard to find. It will be easy to leave this place this morning and not focus on this family today. But don't forget that this is what made our journey so special. So let's keep the momentum going. And unlike most families, let's make sure that we don't just see each other on the holidays. Today is just the beginning of a new journey. Congratulations, class of 2020.